Hello, good afternoon, good morning to everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the July What's New session, What's New in Cumulocity. I'm Alex Graw, Senior Product Marketing Manager for Cumulocity, and we have a lot of great content to get to, provided by our incredible product management team. A couple of quick housekeeping items before we get started. Obviously, there will be active Q&A. We want to have as much conversation and discussion as possible. So we are going to pause for Q&A after each section. So as soon as you have a question, please go ahead and add that to the chat. You could also raise your hand and be invited to share on video to have if your question might require a little bit more of a back and forth, but please, as you're having questions, go ahead and add those to the chat, and we'll address them as we go through. One other detail is obviously we want to make sure that these sessions are as valuable and impactful for you as possible. So at the end, there will be just a brief survey. If you can and spend a couple minutes staying on to address that and answer those questions, that will help us improve future programming. But with that out of the way, I'd like to go ahead and invite Nico Neuberg on the stage to kick things off and get into the presentation.
Thanks a lot, Alex. I'm happy to welcome you to the third time we do this What's New webinar, the quarterly update on what has happened in Cumulocity. Most of you already know, because I see quite a lot of familiar names in the list of participants. This session is for all the Cumulocity users, active users, and solution experts, people developing solutions on top of Cumulocity. And we will highlight recent features and share also insights on ongoing development of all the product teams. And of course, we also are very happy to answer all the questions you have on what we share here today. So please don't forget to put any questions you have in the chat, and then we will either answer it directly in the chat or do a Q&A session in the end of this session. So to get started, let's have a look first at the bigger picture. So the higher level challenges that we want to help you solve. And I'm sure that you all agree these days that in today's world, access to real-time data, to high quality equipment data is more critical than ever, especially as it gets so easy with AI to get business value out of this data. And for industries with distributed complex assets, this presents big challenges today. And this is where Cumulocity is uniquely positioned to help tackle the challenge data, managing the data, and utilizing the data from the distributed assets across numerous customer sites to drive business outcomes. And this is why our strategic product focus is evolving from managing devices towards enabling AI-powered distributed data operations. That's how we call it. And what does it actually mean? This means that we are leveraging our unique strengths in the device management space, access data to manage the local data acquisition pipeline, creating AI throughout the Cumulocity data pipeline to enhance how you can acquire, prepare, and use data. And that is something that you will see today in a lot of the news that we present, how we are moving with every feature that we build towards that goal. So our product goal is very simple: empower you to unlock the full potential of your equipment data, to boost operational efficiency, and also to create new business opportunity for you to grow. And one thing that I want to highlight before we get started is the new open source Explorer. This is a tool that has been built by the help of AI. And I think it's great because it helps you navigate all the open source work that is happening and has been happening on top of Cumulocity. And I'm pretty sure that you will be quite amazed by what is out there in the open source community already. So before you do engage in any solution building journey, make sure to check it out. There might be a lot of components that help you speed up your IoT solution process. And with that, now let me introduce the agenda for today. After this introduction that I just gave you. Rahul will cover updates in the application enablement area, showcasing how we make your app development journey easier. Then we have Aaron and Ruben, who will focus on innovations in device management and Synedge. Jane Porter will speak about exciting previews in the data management space. Nick, the two Nicks will focus then on analytics and Cumulocity Edge. The first Nick is on well-deserved vacation and has prepared actually a recording with all the highlights for you that you will listen to later. And with that, let me hand over to Rahul to talk about our innovations in the application enablement space.
Thanks, Nico. So, hi everyone, I'm Rahul Talreja. I'm the product manager for the application enablement area. And today I will be actually showcasing all the innovations we have done in the last quarter live. So with that, let me start sharing my screen. Yeah. So the first item in our list today is the standalone login application. Starting from the last release, we have actually separated out the login application as a standalone app. So previously, all the default applications had their own login workflows in the app itself, which is now removed, and they all utilizes this standalone application. Now, when you are building your application, preferably with AI as well, you can simply utilize this standalone application in your flow and simply get started. So you can use any of the JavaScript frameworks in your workflow and simply utilize this login application. You don't need to recreate the whole flow. Apart from this big update, the whole login screen has been also redesigned. So you will also get a benefit of the whole redesign, and as well as all the default applications will have a consistent login app. Moving forward, one new enhancement in this release has been a preview functionality. So you can notice that on the top right of my screen, there is a green dot kind of blinking, which highlights that there are new features available in my tenant. And this only appears if I have the required admin rights in my user. On the bottom, then you will notice a preview features available over here, where you will notice a button called Manage Preview Features. When you click on this Manage Preview Features, you'll be able to see all the preview features which have been made available to you. Users can very easily enable or disable these features using a single toggle. So you might remember that in our last presentation, we had highlighted about the dashboard import export functionality as an upcoming feature, which is now available in public preview, and you can simply enable it from here. Another functionality which has been made available is the improved HTML widget, which I will be covering very soon. And once you do that and kind of close the preview panel, the whole application refreshes, and then it utilizes the new components. Now let me take you through some of the new functionalities and also the one which I just enabled. One big enhancement in this release is that we have now changed the whole widget selection modal. Previously, there was a pop-up which was displayed where you could have seen the widgets, but this has been now replaced with a larger modal which comes up from the bottom. We have not only replaced the kind of this modal. Apart from this, we have also changed the configuration section. So previously you had less space for the configuration options. So this has been now totally modified. We have not only kind of improved the configuration section, we have also made it extensible, meaning you can now also extend these configuration options with your own options. For an example, if you are in an HTML widget, you can have a section having your own templates, or if you are in a radial gauge, you can have your own presets added in the configuration. This has been made, let's say, available as a way of, like, when we modified this the way we are adding the widgets, we also made this extensible, and like you can add your own hooks over here. One new widget which we have kind of added is this quick links widget. This actually replaces two of the old widgets. One was the application listing and one was help and services. Now, this widget is much more flexible. You can add your own quick links. We allow you to add a label, a URL, and as well as an icon. You can also decide that if you want to open that link in the same tab or in the new one, and you can simply drag drop the order and kind of improve the view. There are multiple views available, such as grid, list. You can choose it and then kind of improve the way you are providing resources to your users. On my screen, you can see some 4 examples over here by default, and all of them simply adjust to the screen when you kind of resize them. One another widget which I had showcased in the last webinar was the radial gauge widget. We had highlighted that we have migrated the radial gauge widget and improved it further. One of the big improvement which we had done is including the presets option. Previously, you only had one design, but with this release, there are new presets available by default in the setup itself. You can choose the one depending on your use case. And apart from that, we have now also added an advanced option. So you can not only change the presets, you can also modify these things. For an example, in this view, I am able to see the temperature and as well as the date over here. But for some reason, I don't want to see the date. So I can simply go here and change it and it's gone. So you get a more control on the view you are having in the radial gauge, and you can use it in various use cases. One new functionality which we just enabled from the preview section was the import and export of the dashboard. Now, when you go to your dashboard settings, you will be able to see a new tab, import export. This will be only visible once you have enabled this preview function, this HTML import export from the preview section. You can simply import any JSON available with you. Once you import the JSON of the dashboard, you can see there is a widget which is being shown where you can select the asset. So for an example, if you have multiple tenants on a tenant A, you create a whole dashboard, you can simply export JSON from there. On tenant B, you can simply import that JSON. When you are importing that JSON, it will give you a kind of a wizard where you can select if which is the asset you want to link to a specific widget. For an example, the dashboard which I imported has this data point table widget, which was actually referring to device ID this. And now when I'm importing it to another device, it's now referring me that I can kind of select either ID this, or I can also go and select any another ID. I can also choose to like kind of delink it and configure it later. So once I import this and save it, my dashboard is kind of replicated over here. Now, once I kind of correct the assets over here, I will be able to see that data. One another enhancement which we have brought up in this release is the updated HTML widget. So we have migrated the whole HTML widget from AngularJS to Angular, and apart from that, we have also introduced a new public preview of the HTML widget, which I just enabled at the beginning of the call from the preview section. Now, the new HTML widget provides you a full-fledged editor within the HTML widget itself. It not only provides you the editor, it also provides you a live preview on the right-hand side. So when you make any change, the view is kind of updated immediately on the right-hand side, providing you more let's say easy way of updating the HTML within the platform itself. Not only this, we have now also introduced a proper syntax checker. So if I make any mistake in the syntax, it will be kind of visible here itself in the editor. You can also undo, redo, and kind of easily shift between the changes you are doing. One another enhancement is this developer mode. You can now very easily create the web components from the HTML widget and also reuse them at other dashboards. You can also select the CSS encapsulation so that you can kind of mention your own CSS within the widget itself. It doesn't kind of interact with the platform CSS. And one big enhancement over here is this enhance with AI. So at the moment, when you enable the preview of the HTML widget, this enhance with AI will not be visible. It's a plugin which is kind of work in progress, which will be soon available to you for utilization in a public preview fashion itself. So one feedback which we had been getting is that users generally like to create different type of visualizations in the dashboard, and with this HTML widget we have made it much more easier. So for an example, let's select one of the prompt which is being displayed over here. So with this, I will be at the moment selecting the last prompt which is already visible over here, energy consumption comparison. Once I select that, and a very short one-line prompt was sent to the AI. Now AI will kind of fetch all the details it kind of fetches from the asset selection. So right now I'm in the asset named asset over here, which consists of many customer sites 01, 02, and all others. So this AI tool right now fetches all the context we have and then kind of creates a graph which I requested over here. This will take some time. Until then, let's go to an existing dashboard which I created using the similar fashion. So I'll just give a very glimpse of what I was able to achieve with this AI tool. You will be able to notice that I was able to create a tree view out of this using this HTML AI HTML component. And not only this, I was also able to give it a functions like collapse all, expand all, and also add a search option here. So if I search air, you can see the air being highlighted. If I search sensor, all the sensor words getting highlighted. And not only this, I was able to kind of also create a weather forecast widget over here, which utilizes the Open Weather Map API, and it simply fetches the weather of the location I requested it to. It is able to create full-fledged components which you can also very easily reuse across the platform. I also created a alarm list widget where I was able to kind of fetch all the details available with the alarm and also have an action such that I can clear the alarms over here. As for a minute ago, I think just a minute ago, I sent a request to create an widget for energy consumption. This is an older one which I had created from this similar prompt, where I'm able to not only kind of generate the visualization, I'm also able to add certain filters in the widget itself. For an example, I'm here having a filter of daily, weekly, monthly, and also certain other parameters which are available across the site. So this is a dummy, I will say, this is a kind of hierarchy which I had created for a vacuum chamber use case, which had some 5 customers across it, and it has all the simulators with some dummy data, and it is now kind of doing this calculation on it, presenting it here. And not only this has a eChart library already available to it. So this AI widget itself fetches the required chart itself and then create the visualization based on the request, like this line chart, this utilization view, this nested pie chart. And not only this, I was also able to kind of create a full-fledged device list widget also out of this one. So I was able to ask it to create a device list showcasing me the health and alarm status of that, adding a like page navigation, fetching the alarm status, and also putting a filter over there. This all was very easily doable with just one line prompt. Let's see what it created. So you can notice that the prompt got executed and then it replied me with a full-fledged info that what it has already created, and then I can simply use this in the the dashboard, or even I can use it in the type-based dashboards. So this makes testing out various use cases very easy over here. And you can not only, let's say, utilize the regularly available widgets, you can create your own components out of this and utilize them in different dashboards. Now, so this is not all about the AI aspect in the app enablement. So that's just one of the use case which we have just tried that out. All that is powered by an AI agent manager. So the HTML was generated by an agent which is running on the agent manager. So agent manager allows you to create all your AI agents at a single place. You can define your own agents over here. For an example, I will be opening this HTML widget suggestion. So you might have noticed that when I had opened the HTML widget, I had received some 4 or 5 suggestions. These suggestions were just configured as a examples over here, but this is the AI agent providing those suggestions. You can similarly define your own agents over here. You can you can provide your own context to it, and apart from that, the most importantly, you can also decide which tools are accessible to each agent. For an example, this is the HTML widget where the whole prompt has been created, that how should it create a whole widget out of it. This also has the required tools available to it, so it can access all these tools available to it. For an example, you can decide to provide it access to measurements. You can decide to block access to alarms. So you can, depending on your use case, you can decide how you want to provide it the access to the right tools. And this, once the request is created, then it is sent to the AI provider of your choice. So it's not linked to a specific provider. You can choose your own provider and link it over here. This also makes the data privacy very easy, because you are choosing the provider of your own choice with your own key. One another important functionality over here is the configuring the MCP server. So it's not only interacting with the functionalities available from Cumulocity. You can also bring in your own MCP servers, and which has different tools. So like I was adding this weather forecast, you can similarly have any other tools brought in over here simply and utilize that for kind of interacting with the AI agents. So with this, what we are trying to achieve, we are trying to bring in AI-powered functionalities within Cumulocity, which are all powered by the Agent Manager. This will allow you to very rapidly experiment, deploy, and scale your AI agents, and bring the intelligence of AI in the application itself. But this AI Agent Manager helps you to create such applications very easily. If you are building any AI-powered applications within your IoT ecosystem, we are always here to help. We understand that navigating such AI integrations, data contextualization, and agent deployment can be very complex. If you have any use cases which you like to collaborate with us on that, please share that with us, and we will be very happy to help you with that use case, share our expertise, and also create a path forward for that. Now, the other announcement in the administration section. With this release, we have also added an advanced section to the localization. Previously, the localization section only had a basic view over here where you could have very easily added translations. With this release, we have added an advanced editor which brings in all the keys at a single place, where you can then easily enter all your different localizations for different languages easily. Another enhancement to the extensions view. Previously, we had the functionality of bringing, like say, creating and deploying your own extensions over here. With this release, we have added an option of changelog. So when the developers are publishing their own widgets, they can also publish a changelog, which is then visible to the installer over here. Yeah. Now, bringing me to the last section of my presentation is in the Digital Twin Manager. Yeah. In one of the last webinars, you would have noticed me announcing the private preview of the digital twin applications, APIs. So that is still in private preview, but we are enhancing it regularly. So this this digital twin APIs earlier consisted of definitions API. Definitions API helps you to define a schema for your assets, alarm, events, or any managed object in Cumulocity. We have now enhanced it further, and now this also consists of assets API. You can fetch your assets. For an example, you can kind of fetch all your assets, all the subassets, or the devices linked to it very easily with that. Another big enhancement which we are doing over here is a linked series API. Let me first fetch an asset for you, and then we go towards the linked series API. This API asks are currently in private preview. Once we enable it for you, you will notice an API documentation which is available in the application itself, where you can also very easily try these things out. For an example, I will be now calling the get assets API, which will fetch all the assets available with this. I am kind of enabling the linked series true, which I'll be explaining very shortly. and all other things as well as true. Once I execute this, it provides me the whole schema of the asset, including the linked series available on that, and as well as the list of subassets, all the properties linked to it, and everything. Now coming to the linked series setup over here. Until now, we have been allowing our users to create hierarchies in the application. For an example, we have assets here, customer side 01, and then similarly, we have the whole tree for that. You can define your whole schema. You can link your the asset metadata over here. But one new functionality, which is again in private preview at the moment, is linking the device data points to the asset. So one of the most important thing is that for contextualizing the data is that we are receiving the data on the devices, but that's later on needs to be linked with the assets. So this is the section which now allows that. This allows you to link any data point, device data point on the asset itself. For an example, I'm right now in the customer /site 01 asset, but there I can navigate the whole hierarchy and go and kind of link the device data points here. Once I link this device data point over here, I will be able to see all the list of data points there. When I link any device data point, it also enables the latest value feature and displays the latest value available from that data point over here. In case that the data point has not reached on the platform yet, we can simply kind of link the parameter as a custom data point, and later on, once the data point is available, we can select this source. As you notice, we were having certain AI functionalities at the beginning, like the HTML widget. So when we kind of write some requests to kind of create a visualization, that also utilizes the whole context available in the asset itself, where this also gets utilized at the moment. In case if you are interested in exploring these private previews for the digital twin APIs, including the definitions API and as well as the linked series API, do reach out to us. With this, I would now like to open for Q&A.
Hey, Rahul, thanks for the presentation. This was great. I think we've had a few questions come in through the chat, and most of them have been addressed. But one question from Benjamin, is the Cumulocity MCP server generally available, or do I have to deploy it on my own? PC service, or would I need to deploy it?
Yeah, so I think this is available as a GitHub project at the moment. We had shared it on one of our LinkedIn posts in the last few weeks. I'll also share with you over the email. You will need to install it on your tenant and utilize this.
Okay, great. And it looks like there aren't any other questions right now. I think all the other questions have been addressed in the chat. So thank you, Rahul, for the presentation, and we'll move on to I believe Jane is presenting next. Oh, excuse me, Aaron is presenting next. Skipping.
Thanks a lot, both Raul and Alex. Also, warm welcome from my side. I will now continue with the new improvements we introduced in device management. So let me quickly share my screen. Alex, I think you need to open the screen sharing.
Hey, Aaron, is the screen sharing not working for you?
No, unfortunately not.
Oh, sorry, excuse me. There,
now it works. Perfect, thanks. So again, let's continue with device management. There are also quite a few nice things that we introduced here. First, starting with cloud remote access. So the challenge here was that in the past, if you create new endpoints for establishing a cloud remote access in the UI, we always rendered all the options there are in Cumulocity, which included VNC, SSH, Telnet, and pass-through, but there was no visibility whatsoever. There was no visibility whatsoever what device actually supports. This has now been changed. So we introduced a new smart REST template allowing the device to actually report what it supports. So only those options that are actually supported are rendered, mitigating this limitation, so preventing people from establishing endpoints or building endpoints that actually aren't supported on device side. Next topic I want to talk about is the child device visibility. So child devices are modeled in Cumulocity like any other devices. So child devices are usually devices not directly connected to Cumulocity, but via gateway devices. And they, in the past, didn't have the is-device fragment to differentiate basically child devices from directly connected devices, which also had the limitations that child devices haven't been added or listed in all the device lists in device management application, including the all device list and the bulk operation selection model when selecting the devices for bulk operation. That's why we now changed this default behavior. So all devices, not only directly connected device, but also child devices now carry the is device fragment. And therefore, you can leverage both the all device list and bulk operations also for child device as well. But you also have the chance to configure it if you want to keep the old behavior and don't want to add the is device flag. Another smart REST template we introduced is the template 600, which allows devices to ping the platform to ask what version of the platform is available to which it is connected to also see which API interface and response behaviors it can expect, in a sense that maybe with a newer version of Cumulocity, we introduced new device management capabilities. So, for example, ThinEdge is now fully aware of the API interface, can be aware of the API interface and basically can adapt whether when it's basically connects to a newer platform or older platform version, what is available there. We also now introduced the intuitive column configuration, which will be available in a few days as public preview. There are just some minor polish ups that need to be done, so it will be available soon, which simplifies the creation of custom columns. The custom columns have been in the platform for quite a while, and let me quickly share that in the tenant to show it how it looks now. So in the past, when creating a new custom column, here you can add a new one. You usually had to define the key the fragment path and the key of the data point or the column you wanted to add, which requires some knowledge about Cumulocity. It's not so super intuitive for some people, and it also didn't allow to edit it afterwards. That's why we simplified this creation of custom columns process. We basically leverage the digital twin manager and its property library for that. So in future, you will have the chance to model these custom columns as an administrator in your DTM application in the property library, which will be then available here. And you just need to go, for example, here to location, add longitude, and you also have the description, also some metadata added. So for users, it's more self-explanatory what they can actually expect. And they don't have a typo in the fragment path and so on. And then you have directly added the longitude, and all devices that actually carry that information, you can see it here. And you can also easily change that. So, example, if you don't need it anymore, it's also here tagged as custom, and you can also easily remove it if you don't need it anymore. Which makes it significantly easier to manage custom columns. Sorry, 1 second. Let me return to the presentation. So next to the custom columns, we also introduced a new community functionality, which is the AI chat widget. The AI chat widget can be embedded in any dashboard, like the device info dashboard. And since it's fully device contextual aware, it provides a new and more intuitive way to interact with devices, get new information, and a great way to interact with your device. And it's already available on GitHub, so a great way to explore what's already available in the community space. With that, I'm going over to teasing the new topics that will come up in the next few months. So one thing I'm actually quite excited about is the new parameter functionality, which significantly simplifies the configuration of devices. So in the past, we already had some ways to do device configurations, like via device shell, the configuration management, where you had the chance to push a configuration file to the device. But with that, we make it now way more intuitive to change configurations, way more easier. This again leverages the digital twin manager. You there have the chance also with the property library to model those parameters, add contextual information and like min-max values and a description. And you will then have the chance in device management to visualize all the parameters that are applicable for a specific device, send down new values to the device, so the device changes that via an operation, and you can the device sends back the new value to the platform, so you can also see a history of changes of a particular parameter. And the next one is OPC-UA integration via ThinEdge. So this will significantly improve and simplify the management of the OPC-UA gateway, which will in future be deployed via ThinEdge, basically wrapped in a container. So the benefits here are that credential handling is handled by ThinEdge. Also by managing it as a container, that also simplifies the deployment of the device gateway, of the OPC-UA gateway, as well as updating it. And the next benefit is also that data being pushed by the OPC-UA gateway can now be pushed via JSON, the ThinEdge JSON data format, to MQTT service, which also significantly enhances the flexibility when it comes to transforming and decoding the data. Last but not least, one upcoming thing is the improved measurement tab. So every device currently has a measurement tab showing all the data points that are sent by the device to see whether everything that is expected is actually coming in. And we there want in future to leverage the already existing data point explorer, data explorer, to make it easier to search for the data points you're looking for, especially if you have maybe 100 or 50 data points on your device. Having a diagram for each of them easily gets a bit frustrating to find the right one, and that probably makes it way easier to find the meaningful data for you. And that already concludes the device management part. Thanks a lot, and I'm thereby handing over to you, Ruben.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. So hi, everyone. My name is Ruben Miller. I'm the product owner for the ThinEdge team. So the ThinEdge team is responsible for developing this open source agent, so device agent for Linux devices. So it's completely open source, and it has an amazing set of out-of-the-box device management functionality. So we've been busy in doing always releases. So I wanted to highlight some of the key features that come in the 1.5 release. So the number one highlight, and probably my favorite feature, both ThinEdge and Cumulocity for a while, is the support for the public preview Cumulocity certificate authority feature. I'll have a dedicated slide on this because it's so fantastic, but it just eases the issuance of certificates and makes the whole renewal automatic of certificates. Then we also want to focus on security. So we now have full support for hardware security modules. So this means that you can securely store your private certificates on the devices on those dedicated modules so that no one can access it. And there's no risk of getting exposed or an attacker coming in and stealing it because it's just not accessible to absolutely anyone. Then we wanted to also open up kind of the usefulness of ThinEdge to use in different kind of environments. So one of the kind of use cases would be available is what happens if you want to create a local UI to maybe display some of the information about what's happening on the ThinEdge device. So we've created some new REST APIs that you can then access. So that makes it great for kind of local UIs. If you want to kind of present, if you have a whole like child device hierarchy, then you can even make that visual, or like to visualize that locally on the device. Then, because in ThinEdge, we're always looking to how can you deploy ThinEdge in different environments. So we now support deploying ThinEdge behind HTTP proxy environments. So namely, if you're in like factory floors, maybe the IT has a very strict policy that all the communication needs to go through a HTTP proxy, then ThinEdge supports that out of the box. Now, if you're not a ThinEdge user at this point in time and maybe have your own kind of Linux agent being developed or using an older kind of variant, then it might be an interesting exercise to kind of compare, the out-of-box functionality that ThinEdge brings and, what the functionality of your existing agent is. So I think you'll be quite surprised to see how many features we do support out of the box, and we have a team behind us doing this daily. So sometimes we can keep up with this kind of rapid kind of feature improvements. So it's definitely worth checking out to see what we all can do. So now on to like my favorite kind of topic at the moment is the whole topic of device certificate management. So there was always from day one, ThinEdge was a big push to get people to use certificates for the device communication to the cloud. And so from day one, we said that's the only way to do it. But there was a bit of a gap there that we were pushing people to use it, but then there was a how do I issue a certificate question. So it was making the onboard experience a little bit more difficult. It wasn't impossible because you could use external services. However, external services cost money. So usually they'll have a subscription model per device or per certificate issuance, which can blow out to a lot of money. And it also was a little bit harder to integrate. So with the certificate authority feature from Cumulocity, which is currently in public preview, it comes with an out-of-the-box certificate authority, which can issue certificates and also renew certificates, or it provides endpoints available to use. So ThinEdge supports this out of the box. So it simplifies the onboarding process. It removes kind of like any additional kind of requirements to have additional services, so saves you money. And once you have that certificate, the certificate renewal process is automatic. You do not need to do anything anymore. So it means it should be hands-off, and then basically you have nothing more to worry about. So we've already had a lot of positive feedback, both on ThinEdge and the actual core platform feature. So if you don't know about it, please reach out to get it activated on your tenants. Then moving on to a bit of a glimpse of what we're kind of working on in the future, because again, we have a whole team which is doing this, daily. Is we're continuously also trying to look at how to make your lives easier. So there's two main topics that I want to highlight. One is the integration of the Cumulocity service. So to enable ThinEdge users to also connect to the new upcoming MQTT service, which is also in preview status, to basically make being able to publish to generic or like user-defined topics on the cloud very easily. So again, that's one of the advantages of ThinEdge. Hey, we take care of this Cumulocity integration for you, so you can just use the local API on your device, and it's very easy to kind of consume. The other big highlight feature is we're looking into a new configurable mapper. So basically, that's a fancy way of saying that we've seen a lot of users have the use case where they want to define some user-defined rules to do maybe some data shaping or transformation on the edge. Maybe whether it's doing like selective publishing of data, like only send this value when it's greater than X, or when there's a delta of this, aggregation, monitoring like service uptime, counters, if you want to do some kind of log aggregations. So we're looking to build basically a local configurable mapper, which has a powerful language within it, which you can also use and generate using AI and all those kind of magical tools at the moment. So it's at still a little bit of the beginning phase. So we started doing some code and doing some heavy research. So if you really want to shape ThinEdge and like shape the feature, please reach out to us with any kind of like use cases. We're more than happy to discuss, because we really want this feature to be on point and to be as useful as possible. So with that, that concludes my section. So I'll answer any questions in the chat if you have any. Then I'll hand over to Jane.
Thank you very much, Ruben. So, hi guys, and welcome to data management. We've been talking about a lot of things that we're doing in this area for quite a while. So this is going to be relatively short, because this is just reiterating a lot of information you may have already heard. So the MQTT service, this is now in public preview. We've got a YouTube video already up there, and there's lots of information on Tech Community. I'll go through that all in a minute. We've got a public preview of monitoring and management. So for those of you that battled with badly behaved consumers when you were using the Notification V2 API, you now have the ability to actually sort those beasties out, so that you no longer fill up your topics and have to come to us every time you're actually trying to develop something and figure out what is going on. We also cover that in that video for the MQTT service. And as Ruben has already, thank you very much, articulated, we're very excited about the certificate authority, which again is in public preview. And again, Ruben, I've pinched one of his videos, put it up onto YouTube. He does a really excellent video on how to use it there. One word of caution, some behavior may change, especially around the MQTT service, where we're adding a lot of new capability before it goes into general availability. So if you get excited about any of these public previews, and I hope you all do, I hope you have a look at them, have a play with them, please do get in touch. And so then if you're using capability that we know is going to change or may break, we can actually give you a heads up, and we can work with you so that you can have some input to that. So then, MQTT service, very quickly, most of you will be aware of this. A number of reasons why we did this, but long story short, the new service supports MQTT v5 out of the box. You've got no constraints on the data format or the topic structure, so you can actually connect any device that's authenticated with Cumulocity and just send the data straight in. And you can have a free topic structure. So clearly you will have already twigged that if you're sending data in that's not in Cumulocity format, you're going to have to do the mapping. So I'll discuss that in just a sec. For the public preview, it's tenant level isolation. So that means that devices can potentially see each other's data. A spoiler alert for general availability, that's one of the big changes we're making. So you will have device level isolation out of the box at GA. So that means that devices cannot see the data of other devices. Security, clearly certificate-based authentication, that is currently the best approach when you are connecting your devices. But if you've got older devices or something you want to play with that can't support certificate-based authentication for some reason, Basic Auth is also supported. And that link there is to the documentation, which we've spent a lot of time on. So any feedback, guys, please do get in touch. We're very keen to make sure that this is best in class. So then, how to get started? This has already been covered off with this nifty new UI capability. If you go into the enablement, you'll actually see the microservices there. It should be available on all SaaS instances from now. So how to map the data? As I said previously, you've got all of this lovely data in there, but of course it's not in a format that we can use in Cumulocity. So you can use the dynamic mapper, which a lot of you will already be very familiar with. There have been lots of presentations. There's a link there to a really good video, as well as a link to the GitHub area for the dynamic mapper, or you can build your own microservice. So you can actually do your own data cleansing, figure out what you actually want to do with your data, do the mapping yourself in your own microservice. So monitoring and management. So this is for the underlying messaging service that we have in Cumulocity. So it's not just for the MQTT service. It also covers off Notification V2 as well as Data Broker. So as I mentioned, anything that uses the messaging service, you can now see the topics and the consumers, and you can do something about those consumers that either disconnect and never come back, but of course we still keep the messages for you if you do that. So actually this isn't actually very high res, but you'll notice that on one of these there's a consumer that's not consuming. So what you can do is you can go over to the right here and you can say you can go, and that will allow the topic to start draining down because there's a time to live, which from memory is 24, 36 hours. And if your message isn't consumed by that time, we get rid of it. There's also a backlog size that once your backlog size on your topic is reached, we push back on the publisher so that no more messages can be sent. And also there's a limit on the topics. Now, at the moment, a lot of these limits are quite conservative because we want to make sure that everything runs smoothly. So if even in a POC or when you're playing with this public preview, you need to have bigger limits, do just get in touch with us and we can discuss how we do that. So then to the certificate lifecycle management, again, it's very easy. You'll see I've circled a little area here. It's grayed out because we'd already used the CA certificate. Literally all you have to do from the user interface perspective is click on that and you're good to go. To register the device, you need just a user ID and a one-time password, and that's the only time it's used from ever on. You actually use the certificate, and as has already been explained, the certificates are automatically renewed every year, and your CA certificate will be renewed every 3 years. Documentation link there as well. Now, I might be down in the weeds, but I really couldn't let everybody else get away with talking about AI and me not being able to say something about it. So this is very much this is what we're working on for the future. So please, no questions about when it's going to GA or be available. As soon as we have those sorts of answers, I'll let you know. So intelligent data preparation. So this is about how do we help you get the data that's coming into the right format. How you might want to cleanse the data, you might want to do other things with the data, and we want to help you do that. And part of that will be looking at how AI can actually help us do that. I mean, it's an obvious space for AI, right? I mean, if you look at the most basic data mapping, that's got to be an easy one. But really what we actually want to look at is make your user journey on creating your solution a coherent AI assisted journey, so that it becomes quicker, easier to actually get from get-go to something, and then easier to keep refining and updating and enhancing as your business use cases grow and as your use of Cumulocity grows. So that's it for me. I'm now going to hand over to Alex, who is going to show you the recording from Nick, who, as we've already heard, is on a beach somewhere, sunning himself. So over to you, Alex.
Hey, thank you, Jane. Yeah, so we'll be turning over to Nick. Kindly prepared this recording before heading out on parental leave. So please, if you have questions going through, please add them to the chat. The team will address everything we can, and if anything requires Nick's direct involvement, we will get in touch with him and share answers offline. Here we.
Thank you, Jane. Let's now talk about AI and analytics. And let's immediately dive into a very exciting public preview for analytics, what we call analytics rules. So analytics rules takes the proven success of smart rules to the next level, enabling you to fully customize a smart rule and tailor it 100% to the needs of your business users, who can then use it in a scalable way across the connected devices, groups, and assets to drive insights and automate actions. With smart rules, there was a challenge that it was only offering a fixed set of 11 built-in rules with no possibility to customize the parameters within the smart rule environment itself. So while there was, let's say, the flexibility for creating any type of model that you wanted and that you want in streaming analytics, it did require you to go towards streaming analytics and have, let's say, the permissions to create the models over there and then be able to deploy them. And then, of course, there was an additional challenge that the models that you created over there were not available as smart rules in the known interface in Cockpit for your end users. So there was a kind of a gap between whatever you make available and the business user's ability to really start using it in the business application of their choice. And so that's really what we want to address with analytics rules right now. So we offer you the full flexibility in streaming analytics, in Analytics Builder, to create the models that you want, which are interesting for your use cases, for your business users, and then make them really available towards your business users in the business applications where it makes sense for them, like in Cockpit, but also now in device management, in Digital Twin Manager. And basically what we did is we created a pluggable UI component so that you can also really embed it into any web application. So also the specific web applications that you've created for your purposes. So with that, let me give you a small demo to really experience this new capability firsthand. Okay, so here I've now switched to a Cumulocity Cockpit application where I'm looking at a dashboard for a given power tool that is deployed in one of the sites of a certain customer. So what I could do today already in Cockpit, I had the smart rules. And when I clicked here on the Add Smart Rule, I got an overview of the 11 existing smart rules. But they might or might not be 100% fit for your use case. So like I said, there wasn't that flexibility. Now we've added the capability and the new functionality of analytics rules, which offers you that same overview of which are the active rules present here and to identify how they've been configured. For example, this geofence alarm in case of theft protection is now active on this particular power tool, and I can have a look how it's configured with the geofence and what kind of alarm type and text it's generating whenever that would be activated. So, but if I now want to add a new rule, you will see that it's no longer that fixed set of 11 smart rules, but it has been curated by the analytics administrator or the system administrator to really only show those rules, those analytics rules, which are valuable for your end users. And so, for example, the two smart rules like on geofence create alarm and on measurement create alarm are still again made available, but also more use case specific rules like anomaly detection on the battery charge time and some KPI calculation in terms of recharge times is now also available. So how can we make this work? For that, let me switch to the Analytics Builder interface, where you can see that in my sandbox, I've already created a number of those rules, a number of Analytics Builder models, which I could or could not turn into analytics rules. So let me show you this particular model that I want to turn into a rule and make it available inside the device management application. Because like I said, we want to make it more broadly available in any type of business application. So for this particular use case, I want to really focus on something which is more related to the device management domain. And so the model that I'm will be leveraging here is one that calculates the time since the last heartbeat message, and then will calculate the duration since the last heartbeat signal was detected, then compares it to a user-defined threshold, and then if that threshold is breached, create a kind of a disconnected alarm. So let's have a look at how you would be a fully self-defined, newly defined business logic. Previously, if you would have created that and you would have to define new instances of that particular rule, the only way to do that was in this interface. So in Analytics Builder, your business user would have to enter, give it a name, give, let's say, the maximum expected time. So it has to give a heartbeat signal every 1 hour, define, let's say, for this particular device, and then I can give it a go, and then it's activated. But it's not really contextualized, and the user would have to go into this particular interface. With analytics rules, I can now change that behavior. The only thing that I have to do for that is rather than go into the template definition, the template parameter definition, and rather than having the input being a required value selection, I want to change this parameter to be from context. And so that means that in this focus, in the scope of the analytics rules plugin, it will determine what the context, for example, the device or the group or the asset is, on which the UI in which you are configuring it is depending, and then we'll take that into account into the definition of, into the configuration of the analytics rule. So now let me save this. And then still, if I go to, and of course also save it here. If I then go here, I can still do this kind of activation. So that still works. But now if I go, for example, to really the device management interface, and I go towards the same, for example, this power tool that I was previously looking at, I again see the analytics rule module being available. And when I now click add rule, you see that this analytics model, which I've 2 seconds ago activated or updated in terms of the from context parameter, I can select this, and you will see that indeed this smart context is being applied. It is now taking into account the heartbeat message which comes from the selected power tool that I have over here. I can still configure that that time frame. Now say I want to have it every 5 minutes. I can activate it, and with a few clicks, I can do the same thing right in the device management interface. So in a nutshell, that really makes it possible for, let's say, the system administrator, the system or the analytics system role to define the models that we want to have available for the end users, and then for the end users in the context of for example, device management or cockpit or anything else, really apply the rules that have been made available in such a way that it makes sense in the device management application and with all the flexibility and everything that you would want, giving it really the same look and feel, the same user experience as if they are configuring smart rules, but now in a way more flexible setup and a way more configurable and tailorable setup towards your specific business environment. Okay, so let me switch back to my slides. Last but not least, analytics rules. How can you access it? Well, on the one hand side, the plugin is available for a DIY installation into any application of your choice. So if you go into administration, into the ecosystem part, you can select under extensions, you can find the analytics rules plugin as an official plugin supported by the Cumulocity team. Next to that, to make it even more easy and easy to access for you, we have also made it available embedded in device management and cockpit, leveraging one of the earlier presented features, the preview feature. So you can even more easily just activate it right in the interface of device management and cockpit by leveraging or by accessing the preview features and activating the toggle next to the analytics rules plugin. Next to the analytics rules, the other public preview that I wanted to make you aware of is related to reliability improvements for smart rules. So following the rollout of Notification 2.0 interface, Streaming Analytics has now also been set up to leverage the mechanism of Notifications 2.0 and leverage its reliable data forwarding capabilities to receive notifications, measurements, and all of that. And in such a way that it is more, of course, they are accepted more reliably. And also additionally, the Smart Rules application takes additionally takes advantage of this integration to offer even more resilience of its state against scheduled restarts. So in case there would be a restart of streaming analytics, then also the Smart Rules application would keep its state as well as receive the missed events, measurements, alarms, etc., which would have been sent during that restart time by leveraging the Notification 2.0 capabilities. This is now available for Smart Rules, and next to that, we are also will be leveraging that same capability of integration of Notification 2.0 to increase the reliability of Analytics Builder and also there offer more resilience in terms of schedule restarts in the near future. Last but not least, also for the more pro code or more developer community, which is leveraging streaming analytics in Cumulocity, we now have created or definitely much more evolved the APAMA extension for VS Code. So with this, with the new extension for Visual Code, developers can now much more easily build and test streaming applications, streaming analytics applications, either in their local IDE or in the cloud with the help of GitHub code spaces. So where previously this was only supported within the Eclipse IDE, we've now made it also possible in Visual Code Studio, and there offer you capabilities such as autocomplete, code navigation, templates to accelerate your path to creating good samples, as well as also support for custom blocks and microservice development. If you want to explore more, on the tech community, there's a larger introduction into how to work with this extension in VS Code. You can see the link over here, but just searching for APAMA extension for VS Code will also very easily get you to a more detailed explanation of this new functionality. And with that, I'll pass it now over to Nick Ponomore for more information on what's new on Edge.
Okay, looks like it now should be working. I hope you can hear me, guys. I get a note from my colleagues backstage. So yeah, thank you, Nick. Thank you, pre-recorded Nick. Taking over Nick Ponomare. I'm a product manager for microservice hosting, product infrastructure, and Cumulocity Edge. And today I want to talk to you about microservice hosting feature first, and then about Cumulocity Edge. So in the last quarter, we have introduced microservice rollback, which is mainly targeted for our CI/CD environment. So now creating your CD infrastructure comes in with a built-in feature to roll back microservice in case you see that something goes wrong with that. We have also enforced our microservice API v2, and we have communicated to you over email with anyone who has used v1 API version. So you might have seen an email in your inbox from me. If you're that was for the cloud customers. If you run a microservice feature on your on-prem infrastructure, heads up, with the latest release, we switch off version 1 of API, of microservice API, in order to limit and restrict privileged Linux kernel API, as well as some Linux kernel capabilities. So now each microservice is granted only specific privileges on Linux level. Moving to Cumulocity Edge, I wanted to briefly start with the user journey and briefly talk you through our Edge component. And Cumulocity Edge is all about bringing your solution to on-site deployment, so closer to your sensors. It all starts in your lab environment, where you first need to select your infrastructure, and often our customers are given their infrastructure by their enterprise IT teams. So once our customers select the infrastructure, they prepare a solution, put on top any custom-built microservices, custom-built apps, analytics, and then before going on site and actually deploying that and do the needed configuration like license, domain, network configuration. So with the latest release, we want to give you more freedom. We want to select your own infrastructure and do not lock you into any operational system or hypervisor systems. We have supported now Kubernetes native deployments for a while. And now we'll introduce Edge CLI for the customers that prefer hypervisors and virtual machine environments. Yeah, we want to enable you with extended number of your OS choice and hypervisor choice. You can now follow the process of so-called golden virtual machine, where you still same approach applies. You do it in your lab environments. You install Cumulocity Edge, apply your solution customization, convert all of it to a VM template, and then deploy VMs from your templates. So when would I use Kubernetes native installation, and when would I go for C8Y Edge CLI? Main question is all about the tools and skill set of your team. So Kubernetes native enables you to use Helm chart-based installation. However, it requires Kubernetes knowledge, and you are responsible for your own Kubernetes cluster in that case. With CLI, it's a guided CLI-based installation, and CLI takes care of any dependency installation. And it is great for a simple host or some hypervisors like KVM or VirtualBox, etc. One caveat though, this feature, so Edge CLI is currently in a public preview. However, we are very close to GA. If you want to have access immediately after the presentation, please scan the QR code on your screen right now, or wait for an announcement in the next weeks once it goes GA. I have the honors to ask you for your feedback. Many of the features that you have seen, not only in the Edge and microservice hosting, but across this whole presentation, has been driven by you, by our customers. We try to communicate to our customers as often as possible and collect feedback from you. So please scan the QR code or go to cumulocity.com/feedback to leave any feature suggestions that you might have. Thank you so much for that. Alex, back to you.
Great, thank you, Nick. That is going to conclude our presentation today. So I'm going to go ahead and launch the survey now, so that you can, if you can please take a couple minutes to provide us your feedback on the session, anything you'd like to see in future sessions. But again, I want to thank everyone for your attendance and for the great questions in the chat. The presentation includes everyone's email from the documents, so you can follow up if you have any further questions. But thank you very much for your time today, and we look forward to getting together again for this in around October. So thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.